Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem podcast, where we dive deep into all things soul contract, reincarnation, past lives, karma, Akashic records, and spiritual girly stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we are going to be looking into another celeb conflict. If you guys missed the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds episode, you will definitely want to tune into that because it's a little more current. But I decided to look into something that happened a few years ago, back in 2016. Do you guys remember when Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's divorce was just like all over the news, all over the media? And there was a lot of different takes on what was happening, a lot of different opinions. And we're going to take a quick look into Amber Heard's soul contract, Johnny Depp's soul contract today, and their mutual love and compatibility chart. So the love and compatibility chart takes both of their birth dates and it combines the numerology found in those two birth dates combined in order to see what karma they have come together to clear. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to give you guys a brief rundown of what the trial looked like, what was going on in their divorce trial, and all of the accusations and what both of them were saying. And then we're going to look into Amber Heard's soul contract real fast, then Johnny Depp's, and then their karmic contract together. So buckle up because it is a juicy one. If you guys remember all of this happening, I'm curious to know who you thought was in the wrong here. And if your opinion changes after listening to this, I'm going to try to stay as unbiased as possible and just tell you guys what I'm seeing and communicate what is going on with their soul contract. So let's dive in. All right, so here's a little background about the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard met in 2009 and married in 2015. Their relationship was tumultuous, and in 2016, Heard filed for divorce and obtained a temporary restraining order against Depp, alleging domestic violence. Their divorce was finalized in 2017 with a $7 million settlement, which Heard pledged to donate to charity, but later admitted she had not fully done so. Now, I found this out later, but Amber Heard has been arrested for assault before, assault on her partner before. I think the charges were eventually dropped, and it was stated that she and her partner are still on good terms, even though they broke up. But the police officer that reported this, they were accusing her of being homophobic. And she's like, no, I am a lesbian. I'm not homophobic. And I witnessed the assault in front of my own eyes. So that was interesting. And as you guys are going to see, this becomes a running theme in the way that Amber Heard's and Johnny Depp's relationship plays out. Back to the backstory. In December 2018, Heard released something in the Washington Post describing herself as a survivor of domestic abuse. While she did not name Depp, it was widely interpreted as being about him. And in response to that, Johnny Depp sued Heard for defamation in 2019, claiming the article damaged his career, costing him major roles like Pirates of the Caribbean 6. And Amber Heard promptly countersued Depp for $100 million, claiming his legal team defamed her by calling her abuse allegations false and a hoax. So the trial took place in Virginia from April to June 2022. It was live streamed and it drew a lot of public attention. I didn't realize that it was only in 2022, so this was 3 years ago. It feels like it's been longer. So Depp's claims were that Heard's allegations are false and it ruined his career. The evidence that he presented were leaked tapes where Heard admitted to hitting Depp and taunting him, saying, "Tell the world, Johnny, I, Johnny Depp, a man, am a victim of domestic violence, and see how many people believe or side with you." So that's pretty damning. He had witnessed testimonies including security guards, former staff, that testified that Heard was often aggressive. He also had medical reports and photos showing a severed finger injury, claiming that Heard threw a vodka bottle at him. And then he showcased that he lost major roles, including Pirates of the Caribbean and Fantastic Beasts, because of all of this. Now, Heard's claim was that Johnny Depp physically and emotionally abused her. Her evidence consisted of photos of injuries, such as bruises, claiming that Depp attacked her multiple times, texts and audio. She showed texts from Johnny Depp to his friends that contained violent language about Heard, which her team used to argue he was abusive. And then she had witnesses, including her sister and a few friends, that testified they saw bruises or witnessed fights. The verdict of all of this ended up being that Johnny Depp won 3 defamation counts and was awarded $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages that was later reduced to $350,000. Heard won 1 count of her countersuit and was awarded $2 million. The aftermath of all of this, as you probably very well know, Amber Heard kind of disappeared off the face of the earth, while Johnny Depp was able to regain his reputation, was able to still star in movies and get roles for films. Amber Heard ended up settling the case in late 2022, agreeing to pay $1 million to Johnny Depp, who donated all to charity. So looking through Amber Heard's and Johnny Depp's soul contracts was kind of like looking at the rewrite of a script. It was so similar. It was clear why they were attracted to each other. It was clear why they were meant to get together, because a lot of their issues are similar, including aggressive behavior. So I'm going to touch on Amber Heard's contract first and give you guys an idea of what that looks like. And I also want to get into the numerology for the year that she filed for divorce from him, because it is spot on. One of the numbers in that year for her, she was 30 years old. In 2016 was the number 9, and 9 is the end of cycles. It is the end of a cycle. Like, it's kind of the last defense, the last push before you finally clear something. And I found that very interesting. So in regards to Amber Heard's soul contract, she had a past life where she was born into wealth and influence, but she rebelled and cut ties and rejected her family. So these kind of themes in past lives are ones of somebody kind of becoming the black sheep of the family and going completely off course. They kind of want nothing to do with their family, nothing to do with their beliefs or their profession, and they want to forge their own path and totally deny their roots. Which, funnily enough, you can still see the residual impact of that in Amber Heard's current incarnations. Because she's from Texas, her parents were Catholics, and she kind of decided to become an atheist at a very early age. I think it was when she was in her teens, because her best friend died in a car accident. So we kind of see those themes playing out again in this lifetime. And we're going to see those same themes, that resistance to authority and societal norms, that rebelling against family values and beliefs, and forging her own path, often at the cost of having a relationship with her family. Those are all things that somebody with this past life experience in this incarnation in some way. Signs that this is playing out in this incarnation, like it's basically like symptoms of this karma, is rebellion, black sheep mentality, distancing yourself from family and rejecting traditions, early marriage and divorce, rushed life decisions, unstable relationships, conflicts with parents and children. Like you're just going to see a strain on your relationship with loved ones and a very, very high self-destructive tendency. This is a person that struggles reaching out when they need help. They would prefer to do everything themselves because they've been so used to doing that. They've been so hyper independent, and they're like, I have to figure all of this out on my own. I have to do this on my own, that even if somebody reaches out and is like, hey, I want to support you, I want to help you out through this, they're going to reject it. They pride themselves in the fact that they got themselves to where they are. Now, Amber Heard, and I think I've mentioned this in a different episode, is the first person I've come across that has both the Millionaire Subconscious Program and the Midas Touch Subconscious Program. So, for those of you that are new, subconscious programs are programs that you have inherited from past lives, from your karma, that you are meant to clear in this lifetime. They come in the form of limiting beliefs, in the form of obstacles or conflicts, and sometimes in the form of blessings. In the case of the Millionaire Program and the Midas Touch Program, if somebody has the Millionaire Program in their chart, it means that they're going to come into a large amount of money at some point in their life, either through luck, inheritance, or hard work. Now, the Midas Touch Program is a little more complex. While the Midas Touch Program promises a lot of abundance, it's also a curse within a blessing. The Midas Touch comes with kind of side effects where a person might start to feel very entitled, very arrogant, and there might be this sense of hopelessness. And it's probably because things come so easily to them. There's this lack of feeling like you earned something. And people that have the Midas Touch in their programs typically find it hard to follow through on something. They get burnt out very quickly. They're the type of people to start a project and find a very hard time to follow it through. And they might have like a lot of started projects in their house that they plan on getting to, but they don't. And this is also somebody that has a hard time planning for the future. They have a hard time setting long-term goals. They prefer to live in the present and kind of be in the present, act out in the present, in the sense of, well, what do I want to do right now? So with those two programs in her chart, we see that she has the potential for being extremely wealthy, but she lacks the stability and kind of the drive to stay that way, which might be why she sued Johnny Depp in the divorce. Like, she was asking for alimony. I think it was like $50,000 a month because she got used to a certain lifestyle. She also has the child manipulation. And when that manifests in a masculine, it is somebody that will try to manipulate their way into a relationship, maybe in the sense of like continuing a relationship that has obviously like they've outgrown each other, but the person will try to manipulate somebody into staying via having a baby trapping them. But it could also be just a person that uses manipulation tactics, a person that is very motivated and driven, and they seek to achieve their goals, and they're like, I'm going to achieve this no matter what. They don't care about the means of it. They think the ends justify the means. So it's kind of like a by any means necessary program, which kind of explains why Johnny Depp's and Amber Heard's divorce was so toxic. It was so wild. You can tell that this is playing out for her throughout the divorce because she's like, I just have to win this. And one of the other programs in her chart that I feel called to mention is the binge program. So I found it very interesting because even though in the contract it says that there's potential for her to be from a broken family, from a family of divorce, her parents never actually got divorced. Her mom passed away a few years ago, but her parents never got a divorce. So when this program manifests, when the binge program manifests, that usually denotes childhood neglect, being neglected somehow in childhood. Although when you look up Amber Heard's personal life on Wiki, it says that she spent a lot of time with her dad hunting, fishing, but she was also a beauty pageant kid. So that was very interesting to me, that there might have been some neglect from her childhood that caused her to kind of shift into a mindset of excess over quality. So somebody with a binge program would rather have a whole bunch of friends, like they substitute like meaningful friendships for just having a whole bunch of friends that they can have very surface level relationships with. Similarly, they might substitute like feeling unworthy, feeling unlovable, feeling neglected with vices, alcohol, drugs. She also has the prison program, which is relevant given her past arrest for assault. This is symbolic of legal trouble, isolation, and also being kind of a prisoner of your mind, which in some cases manifests as an actual prison sentence. So those are the programs that I wanted to touch on because we see them play out fairly easily in this incarnation for her. In regards to the year that she got divorced, the numerology for her that year was the numbers 10, 9, and 19. So 10 is usually a number of abundance, of extreme luck, of opportunities, new growth opportunities. 9 is a number that usually denotes endings, breakups, loneliness, and career struggles. So on the negative aspect of the 10, there's sudden negative life changes, loss of financial stability, toxic relationship cycles, which is funnily enough, right after 10, we get the number 9, which is the ending of a cycle. So this divorce was definitely very much a toxic relationship. And the negative manifestation of the number 19 is an ego-driven downfall. That feels like the icing on the cake. It also denotes conflicts, pride, and loss of influence. And we see all of that manifesting for her that year, the year that she turned 30, the year that she filed for divorce in 2016. It was marred by divorce, legal battles, decline of reputation, turbulent relationships, misunderstanding, and an inability to find peace. So overall, the general theme of her soul contract is highlighting her self-destructive tendencies and her resistance to guidance. This is a person that does not ask for help, does not want your help. She wants to kind of blaze through everything on her own. It doesn't matter if she crashes and burns, but she wants to be the one that does it, if that makes sense. It's almost like to her, it doesn't matter what happens, if it's a positive outcome or a negative outcome. As long as she's the one that's making that choice, as long as she's the one that kind of is the precursor to this negative or positive outcome, because she values having that choice so much. She wants that to have been an independent choice. So takeaways, key takeaways that we can get for ourselves from her chart is a lesson in humility, self-awareness, and emotional regulation, because there was a lot in that soul contract about her being very aggressive and not being able to emotionally regulate herself, which kind of explains the binge program and the part of that subconscious program that talked about being neglected as a child. It makes sense that she would not learn the proper coping mechanisms to be able to calm herself down, regulate her nervous system, and thus kind of make the mess that became the lawsuit between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Now, let us dig into Johnny Depp's soul contract. I don't know if I even mentioned Amber Heard's date of birth, but Amber Heard was born April 22nd, 1986. And Johnny Depp was born June 9th, 1963. Now, when looking into Johnny Depp's past life karma, he has the same karma as Taylor Swift. And what I've found is people that are born into places of authority or power, or eventually get into a high place of authority or power, usually had that same kind of influence in a past life. And usually there is a lesson there that the person is meant to learn. They are meant to learn a lesson about how to use that power or authority properly. And Johnny Depp in a past life had a position of power that he abused. His choices brought a lot of negative karma onto this incarnation for him. So what is playing out now is an attempt to make sure that he uses his influence and his power in the right way and really lets go of his very rigid way of thinking. So the overall theme that I saw playing out all throughout Johnny Depp's chart was rigidity. A lot of rigidity and aggressiveness. This is the kind of person that you cannot tell this person something aside from what they believe in. They're very stuck in their beliefs, which I found very surprising for somebody that I thought is as creative and open-minded as Johnny Depp. I don't know why I picture that he was open-minded, but it seems like there's a lot of old programming, a lot of like old societal programming, or maybe not societal, old consciousness programming playing out for him. So for Johnny Depp in this incarnation, he has the opportunity of peace. Like he has the opportunity for living a peaceful life, a peaceful existence without having too many conflicts and generating more karma for himself. But the thing about this karma is that he continuously attracts conflicts that test him in order to make sure that this rigidity and inability to kind of see somebody else's perspective shifts for him. That's a very important lesson. So, manifestations of past life karma in this lifetime. Like I mentioned, stubbornly holding on to views, making it very difficult for himself to embrace new perspectives, and having a very combative, defensive approach to life where he fights to defend himself even when it might not be necessary. There's also a struggle with vulnerability for him. He really doesn't like to be perceived as weak. Now, he also has excessive confidence, anger, and divisiveness. So here's where we see some of that old consciousness energy coming in. This is not somebody that sees people as, oh, we're all one. This is somebody that might divide people into different class groups, into different standings in his mind. But yes, I feel like we see some of that anger, especially in the text that he has sent to his friends concerning Amber Heard. I remember reading them back in 2022, which I don't usually remember reading stuff like that, but that tells you how bad they are if you guys want to look at them yourselves, the kind of stuff that he was saying that he wants to do to Amber Heard. It's a little bit much. In regards to subconscious programs for Johnny Depp, there are two very good programs that I love to see in soul contracts. One being the Fairy World / Writer-Director program. This is somebody that's incredibly gifted. They're incredibly gifted in writing. They might be a really good speaker as well. And they would be very successful as a director, a producer in the film industry, or just be a good writer. So given how talented Johnny Depp is as an actor, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. He has a very unique view of the world, and this program is known for that. This is a person that is very highly creative, and some of the greatest writers, most successful writers and directors have this program in their chart. It has been like without fail. Every time I look up a really great writer, J.K. Rowling, James Cameron, they have this program. A program that Johnny Depp has that kind of gave me a very deep understanding of who he is as a person is the TRAP program. So the TRAP program are people that almost like get blinders put on when facing a certain issue, a certain conflict. And it is so bad that like it might be a very easy fix. It might be a very quick fix, but this person starts to feel so trapped and so hopeless in a certain conflict that they cannot possibly see any other way out of this. And for somebody like Johnny Depp, who has already kind of like the propensity to be very stuck in their views, very rigid and inflexible, and you can't tell him nothing, this is not a good sign. This shows me a person that can like start hyperventilating over a very minor issue because they see no way out and they feel hopeless. It's almost like the energy of somebody that's really claustrophobic and going into a tunnel and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then they start freaking out like they're like, this tunnel is never ending, like I'm never going to get out of this. It's almost that vibe. Followed right after that is the revenge program. He has the revenge program in his chart, which tells me that, like Taylor Swift actually, he holds on to grudges. He holds on to grudges for an insane amount of time. He will remember something that was done to him as a toddler, a kid, like if there was a lunch lady that was particularly nasty to him, he will remember that, and he takes offenses very seriously. If somebody offends him, he takes it very personally and he won't let it down. He's not somebody that's quick to forget. This explains some of the ongoing conflicts in his life and legal battles, particularly with this feud with Amber Heard. So just in case you guys thought that, okay, like we heard Amber Heard's chart and now we have a better sense of who is at fault here, who has been completely irrational and who has been kind of the victim. Don't make that decision yet, because on top of all of this, Johnny Depp also has the responsibility program. In the positive manifestation, this manifests as somebody that feels very responsible for other people. He has a good sense of like cause and effect, a good understanding of his actions, and he feels like it's his responsibility to look out for others, help others out. But manifesting negatively, we have the polar opposite of that. We have somebody that does not take accountability for their actions, does not understand cause and effect, does not understand how his actions got him into a certain predicament. And there is just zero accountability when this program is in the negative. So recommendation for somebody with this program would be you have to start like realizing the correlation between your own actions and how you've contributed to a certain issue to have made it get as hard, like as horrible and toxic as it's gotten. But Johnny Depp also has the high spiritual unification mission, which is a little bit of a redeeming kind of quality. It's a little bit of a redeeming program because it means that you were meant to unite people in some way. And it could be just in the roles that he plays, in the films that he plays, in the sense of like some people will really attach or like identify with a role and it becomes like they're like saving grace. It reminds me of hearing stories about how Johnny Depp would dress up as Captain Jack Sparrow and go to cancer wards and like be in character acting out as Jack Sparrow for these kids and kind of brightening their day, which is very heartwarming. But the key manifestations, the key themes that we want to observe in Johnny Depp's soul contract is his defensiveness, his combative nature. He has a tendency to react defensively or with anger when challenged. And when you combine that with his desire to win, it creates friction in personal and professional relationships. He's also unyielding to criticism. And I'm reading this and I'm like, there has to be other people that have worked with him that have spoken about this. Combine that with emotional rigidity, specifically his struggle with the trap program, which may leave him feeling like he's stuck in negative cycles. But that's only because he is trying to kind of figure it out on his own. He's not really accepting of anybody else's intake or input on the matter. So it's like a whole of his own making. And we see this conflict, this publicized conflict in the media, kind of mimic the power struggles that were going on for his karma in a previous life. His stubbornness and need to defend himself at all costs could have exasperated this conflict, even when peace may have been a viable option. So if Johnny Depp was trying to spiritually evolve and clear karma from his past incarnation, it's evident he needs to confront his rigidity. He needs to confront his unwillingness to take accountability, responsibility, and his tendency to hold on to grudges. And that growth is possible for him, but there has to be a level of humility that needs to be accessed. And it's the same for Amber Heard. For Amber Heard, there was a lot of focus on ego and arrogance that was playing into her energy, whereas Johnny Depp's was more defensiveness, stubbornness, and kind of like, I'm going to get you back kind of energy. Now let's dig into their mutual love and compatibility chart. So this is the karmic contract that they made together that put them together in this incarnation in an effort to help them clear their past karma together, as well as their personal karma. So there are two main numbers in the numerology of Amber Heard's and Johnny Depp's soul contract. And those are the numbers 4 and 10. Now, 4 energy kind of stresses me out a little bit. It is definitely a tough energy. It is very, very powerful. It's very influential, but it has a bit of a dark side when it manifests in soul contracts. The way we see it manifest here is that the primary goal for Amber and Johnny's union in this incarnation was to focus on material success, career growth, and increased well-being. So they were kind of meant to piggyback off of each other's success and become more successful. This was a focus on growing professionally as well as personally together. And it was designed to help them evolve. Their home life, career, and personal lives were meant to be stable, comfortable, and have a certain amount of respect to it. Mutual respect, I should say. And in the positive manifestation of the number 4, you see all of that. You see the coziness, the stability, comfort, respect, and security. And when you combine it with the number 10, which is the second number for them in their Love and Compatibility chart, they were meant to experience freedom and ease. The number 10 in the positive is a very lucky number. It is one of opportunities and abundance. And when it is manifesting in your Love and Compatibility chart, it comes out as having a very, very strong basis for your relationship. It's not just a love and passion, but it's also a very deep friendship. And they were meant to be very good friends. They were meant to be best friends and great partners for each other. The number 10 also kind of denotes this ability to be present and enjoy life in the moment that was clearly not available for both of them. Now, in the negative, and this is where it gets really interesting because I think we see all of this playing out in their relationship. When 4 is negatively manifested, torment arises, particularly for the masculine energy. Johnny Depp may have felt the weight of not living up to expectations. He may have been unable to gain approval or support from Amber Heard. And this could have caused him to turn to substance abuse, particularly alcoholism. I do think that there was a lot of mention of cocaine in their lawsuit. So it's not surprising that substance abuse is popping up in the manifestation of the number 4. Like I said, the number 4 has a little bit of a dark side to it. Now, from the feminine perspective, the negative manifestations of number 4 look like this. Look like the feminine carrying the weight of the relationship, neglecting her own needs, having to pull the weight of both of them. And it leads to feelings of resentment and disrespect. In relationships, the negative aspect of number 4 shows us things like scandals, fighting, aggression, disrespect. It's possible that their individual insecurities might have led to competition, manipulation, and eroding their foundation of trust. There's also mention, and I don't know the lawsuit in depth. Maybe it mentioned this or maybe not. Maybe this is only something that they would personally know. It mentions that there was also disrespect to each other's families, which wouldn't be surprising, although by the sounds of Amber Heard's chart, she's pretty detached from her family. She's kind of cut herself off from her family. The negative manifestations of the number 10 are financial dependence, manipulation, lack of emotional communication, and workaholism. So all of these things start coming into play that puts a strain on their relationship and creates this toxic environment that we see played out on everybody's screens because it was so highly publicized. There's also mention of one partner either moving or choosing career or education over the relationship, which I'm wondering if that was one of the things that they fought about, if that was one of their conflicts that kind of triggered the breakdown of their marriage. Maybe somebody like kind of put their foot down and they're like, you can't accept this job. Like, you're going to be gone for so long. And the other person's like, I don't care. Now, here's where we kind of see the traditional values coming into play. And it feels like they're coming from Johnny Depp's side. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Amber Heard was trying to baby trap him in an effort to gain child support. It just sounds like she has the program for it. She has the baby trapping program, the manipulation program. It seems the key issues presented in their karmic contract is that they have a deep difference in traditional values around family, marriage, and gender roles. Surprise, surprise. That one felt a little out of left field for me, but I think that it would make more sense to them, to the people that are in the relationship, and because they know what conflicts, what issues they've struggled with. Another key component of this contract ending is if one partner fails to achieve personal growth or does not feel valued, it could lead to separation and a partner seeking connections outside of the relationship. So the takeaway from their combined karma, the karmic contract that Amber Heard and Johnny Depp have, is acceptance. It feels like there was a lot of rigidity on Johnny Depp's part, and he really needed somebody that accepted him as he is. And if Amber Heard wasn't willing to do that, if she was trying to change him, that was bad karma on her part, because you are not meant to change each other in a relationship. You're meant to evolve and grow as human beings. And it's kind of like if you are with someone you are not compatible with, your ideas, your values, your general direction in which way you're going in life, if that is not compatible, it's kind of like, what are you even doing with this person? You are wasting this person's time and your own time. You should not be trying to change them, because people are not going to change if they do not want to. And it saves you a lot of time and the other person a lot of headache if you just find somebody that you are very compatible with and that you don't need to change. So in conclusion, the karmic lesson of their Love and Compatibility chart was a lesson about material success, personal growth, and the need for emotional balance. And it feels like they did anything but emotionally balance each other. They were meant to grow in stability, mutual respect, and material success, but they needed to overcome significant personal challenges in order to do that. And it doesn't feel like that happened for either of them. Either way, it does feel like there was a toxic cycle that ended between the both of them. This is something that they needed to cut short. They needed to cut this relationship short because they were both not getting out of it what they needed to get in order to evolve as human beings. So yeah, that is what I have for you guys in regards to Amber Heard and Johnny Depp and their karma together and the conflict that all of this kind of stirred up between them. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, like, subscribe, review, do all of the things. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate all the support. And let me know who you guys want me to look into next. I have been searching up various celebrity conflicts in order to kind of help you guys piece together how their soul contracts influence these conflicts. But this one was particularly interesting. And not that you guys asked for my personal opinion, but it sounded like both of them were very, very unkind to each other. I would say that Johnny Depp's rigidity is what kind of was the nail in the hammer for this relationship, but the actual death of it was definitely coming from the toxicity of Amber Heard. It feels like she was trying to mold him into something that he was not. It feels like she had a certain image of him in her mind, and she's like, okay, like you have to become this mold, this idealization that I've had of you, or like we can't be together. So yes, incredibly interesting. That is my little take on it, my 5 cents. Thank you guys so much for listening, and tune in every Friday for the Soul Ecosystem podcast. Let me know who you want me to look into next, and see you guys next Friday. Have a great weekend.